Ladies and gentlemen, hello again everyone. I'm as always Mr. Grimreaper from 2 with Dark 987, and welcome back to Dark Knight Week. And guys, we're going to give you guys our last feature of the Batman series. This has to be the worst. According to fans and critics, this has to be the worst Batman film of the of the original Batman films. But was it really that bad? This is Batman and Robin. Okay, now Batman and Robin is directed once again by Joel Schumacher. This film stars Arnold Schwarzenegger, George Clooney, Chris O'Donnell, Uma Thurman, Alicia Silverstone, the late Michael Gough, Pat Hingle, and Ellie McPherson. And yeah, we're gonna go through the plot here, talk about the plot as always, and we are gonna give you guys our thoughts on this film. So, yeah. We're gonna talk about this here. So here we go. In Gotham, 1 year after the defeat of Two-Face and the Riddler, Batman and Robin attempt to thwart Mr. Freeze from robbing diamonds from the Natural History Museum, but he steals one and flees. Mr. Freeze, as was originally Dr. Victor Freeze, a doctor working to develop a cure for McGregor syndrome to heal his terminally ill wife. Freeze was forced to wear a cryogenic suit powered by diamonds after becoming unable to live at normal temperatures following a lab accident. At Wayne Enterprises lab in Brazil, the botanist Dr. Pamela Isley is working under the reign Dr. Jason Woodrue. You may know who he is. He's known as the Floronic Man in the comics. Experimenting with a venom drug, she witnesses Woodrue use the formula to turn the violent but diminutive convicted serial murderer Antonio Diego into a hulking monstrosity you know better as Bane. Woodrue and Isley argue over the use of the drug, which ends when Woodrue attempts to kill her by overturning a shelf of various toxins. Despite Woodrue's efforts, she is resurrected, transforming into the beautiful and seductive Poison Ivy. Before exacting revenge, she kills Woodrue with her poisonous kiss and sets fire to the lab, leaving it to burn down while she escapes with Bane. She finds that Wayne Enterprises fund Woodrue. Thus, she appropriates Bane as a muscle-bound thug, taking him with her to Gotham City. Meanwhile, Alfred Pennyworth's niece, Barbara Wilson, we're gonna talk about that too, makes a surprise visit and is invited by Bruce Wayne to stay at Wayne Manor until she goes to school. Wayne Enterprises presents a new telescope for Gotham Observatory at a press conference interrupted by Isley. She proposes a project that could help the environment, but Bruce declines her offer, which could kill millions of people. That night, a charity event is held by Wayne Enterprises with special guests Batman and Robin, and she decides to use her ability to seduce them. Mr. Freeze crashes the party and steals a diamond from the event. Although he is captured by Batman and detained in Arkham Asylum, he eventually escapes with the help of Poison Ivy and Bane. Meanwhile, Dick discovers that Barbara has participated in drag races to raise money for Alfred, who is dying of McGregor syndrome. Interesting. Batman and Robin begin to have crime-fighting relationship problems because of Ivy's seductive ability with Robin, but Bruce eventually convinces Dick to trust him. Poison Ivy is then able to contact Robin once more. She kisses him but fails to kill him due to Robin wearing rubber lips. Meanwhile, Barbara discovers the Batcave where an AI version of Alfred, reveals he has made Barbara her own suit. Barbara dons the suit and becomes Batgirl. Ivy captures Robin, but he gets rescued by Batman, and Batgirl arrives and subdues Ivy to get eaten by her thrown plant before revealing her identity to the pair. Batman, Robin, and Batgirl decide to go after Mr. Freeze together. By the time they get to the observatory where Mr. Freeze and Bane are, Gotham is completely frozen. Batgirl and Robin are attacked by Bane, but they eventually defeat him by kicking apart his venom tubes, stopping the flow of venom to his body. Bane collapses before transforming back to his original diminutive size of Antonio Diego and is left helpless on the ground. Meanwhile, Batman and Mr. Freeze begin to fight each other, with Batman defeating Mr. Freeze. Batgirl and Robin manage to unfreeze Gotham, and Batman shows Freeze a recording of Poison Ivy during her fight with Batgirl, who had informed the latter that she killed Mr. Freeze's wife. However, Batman informs Mr. Freeze that she is still alive, having been restored by them at cryogenic slumber before being moved to Arkham Asylum. Waiting for Mr. Freeze to finish his research, Batman proceeds to ask Mr. Freeze for the cure Mr. Freeze had created for the first stage of McGregor's syndrome to administer to Alfred. And Mr. Freeze atones for his misunderstanding by giving him the medicine he had developed. Mr. Freeze is then detained in Arkham Asylum. Poison Ivy is also imprisoned in Arkham Asylum with a vengeful Mr. Freeze as her cellmate, and he plans to get revenge on Poison Ivy for what he did to his wife.
Yep.
After Alfred is cured, everyone agrees to let Barbara stay at Wayne Manor, thus ending Batman and Robin.
There it is.
Oh, let's talk about the Barbara Wilson shit.
Yes,
I need to talk about this for the love of God.
Yeah,
Okay.
that threw me off.
Now, as you know, Batgirl in the comics was Barbara Gordon. Batgirl in the animated series was Barbara Gordon, who is Jim's daughter, who is Jim Gordon's daughter.
Yes.
So,
Ow.
how the hell? So tell me, how in the hell is you're gonna change her name to Barbara Wilson, which is stupid, and then you're gonna say that she is the niece of Alfred?
Number 2.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense at all. It doesn't make no sense at all.
It doesn't. Because my partner Grim and I know the story. But the Batgirl was really Barbara Gordon, who was
Yeah.
Commissioner Gordon. Alright? So, why would they, now in this one, they really changed the story out. They're playing it as, oh, she's going to be called Barbara Wilson, and she's going to be the niece of Alfred Pennyworth. Really? But it really throws the viewer off. Like,
Okay,
you know,
here's what could have worked. Here's what you could have done. Hold on, man. Before you say any more.
Go ahead.
Here's what could have worked. You could have said that she was the niece of... You could have said that she was the daughter of Jim Gordon. You could have called her Barbara Gordon. And you could have also said... And then here's what could have made it awesome. Here's what could have made it even more awesome. The fact that she's related to Commissioner Gordon, and also the fact that she is the niece of Alfred Pennyworth. You could have made that more interesting. You could have made that more ideal for the story. Instead of calling her Wilson, you could have named her original character, Barbara Gordon. You know what I mean? And it still would have worked. It would have worked out. It would have worked out for everybody. You know what I mean? But I'm sorry, Joel. I have to say, dude, you're a moron. Like, seriously. Because you could have done a lot better. Jesus Christ. I love this movie. I do. But Jesus H. Christ, man. They made so much mistakes.
They did. Especially this one with the whole background situation. Let's see, Arnold Schwarzenegger, let me say, Arnold Schwarzenegger is a great actor. I'm not going to put him down. I remember him, of course, Predator, the Terminator series. He's a great actor, don't get me wrong. Him as Mr. Freeze, he did have said
it was not good. It was not good. Let's just put it out there, dude, right now. Let's just put it out there. It was not good. He does have... He kind of does have... Like, if you would have gotten somebody... Like, it's saying right here, too, Patrick Stewart was considered for the role. See, because this is what I would have thought. This is what I would have thought. Make Mr. Freeze like he was in the comics. Make Mr. Freeze like he was. Make Mr. Freeze like he was in the animated series. This man is doing what he needs to do to get his wife back in order again. He's trying to do whatever is possible to make sure that to make sure that his wife is better from McGregor syndrome. That's what he's trying to do. You could have given him. You could have made him more violent. You could have made him more of a vile nature. By making him like he was in the animated series, which Mr. Freeze is one hell of a goddamn character in the animated series.
Yeah.
And then, not to mention that, you could have done a lot more. You could have made him like the comics. The thing about this is, and this is what I talked about, this is what we covered in the Batman Forever movie review that we did just moments before this. All they wanted to do, this is when the studio gets involved. This is when people who act like they know everything about the fucking Batman comics, who do not care at all about the fucking source material, it does not work. And this is what pisses me off about this, is that you do something and it does not goddamn work, and then that's why people get pissed off. A lot of people got pissed off about this movie. A lot of people did. I don't blame them, but I love the movie, even though it has its share of problems. I love the movie. I can't fault Joel Schumacher, but I can fault him a little bit for not trying to tell a good story. It's kind of like what I was saying before. I wish Tim Burton was back behind the camera as director for this movie. Because if he was, Patrick Stewart would have been wonderful for the role of Mr. Freeze.
Heavenly, can you imagine how that would be if Patrick Stewart played Mr. Freeze instead? I think he would have had more of a... And he's a great actor. I mean, you've seen it before, folks. Star Trek and all that stuff. He would probably play... Maybe put it as a darker tone to Mr. Freeze. I mean, I'm not taking on anything from Schwarzenegger, but I think Patrick Stewart would have been a better Mr. Freeze and put a darker tone to it. And he's up on that. Tim Burton should have been behind the camera on this one, too. I think Patrick Stewart would make a good Mr. Freeze. I mean, he played the Arkham Knight games. I mean, one of them you encounter Mr. Freeze. You see how he is there. I mean, imagine if that Patrick Stewart would have, you know what I mean? He would play that. He would have played a good Mr. Freeze to the team. So, but again, on this whole thing, no offense to him. I'm not trying to say that he's a bad actor or anything, but it didn't work. Basically, the Mr. Freeze character, it just didn't work. This is our opinion.
And then the other thing that didn't work is we're gonna go back to Barbara Gordon. We're gonna go back to the Barbara Wilson character, if you want to call it that. That did not work out at all neither. Because come on, Barbara Gordon is one of the most. Barbara Gordon is one of the most legendary characters in the DC universe. She is that girl, not Barbara Wilson. Barbara Gordon. You could have made her, who is the daughter of James Gordon, Commissioner Gordon, and you could have made her. You could have twisted a little bit. You could have twisted the lines a little bit, and say that not only is she the daughter of James Gordon, she's also she's also the niece of Alfred Pennyworth, and it could have made it much more. It could have made it a little bit more interesting because you know what I mean. But and then the fucking ice puns every fucking time I see Arnold Schwarzenegger. The fucking ice puns, dude.
They're very cheesy. That's what we're talking about. It was so cheesy, right? So, but like you said, it were to be, the other actor, we just said his name earlier. Anyway, if he would have portrayed Miss Freeze instead of Arnold, like we said, we put a lot of them haven't heard those cheesy puns. I mean, really, think about it. But yeah, and like I said before, the story is Barbara Gordon, who is the daughter of James Gordon, Commissioner Gordon, was really Batgirl. And for them to change up that story, that just threw me way off. And I know he threw Grim off too when he watched it. It just threw us both off. Now I want to go ahead and talk about Uma Thurman. I think she did a great job before the 90s. I mean, she really knew how to play the seductiveness. She played a cheat. Uma Thurman, great actress, and those of you who may know her at Kill Bill, of course.
Yeah.
She did a good job I think to me, she did a good job as Poison Ivy.
Mm-hmm.
She really had it in there, the character.
And then I gotta give props to the dude that played. I gotta give huge props to the guy that played Bane.
Okay, I actually have some information here. The guy that played Bane, his name was Robert Alexander Swinton Jr., who he passed away, by the way, in 1997 of August. And actually, this guy was also a former professional wrestler, and also a stuntman and actor. Yeah. And I'm gonna check things out here. Let's see. Oh, that's interesting.
What?
Wow. So, I don't know if many listeners out there know this, but he was originally a member of the Alliance in Hulkamania. He was called the Final Solution.
Yeah.
So he was a former. So this guy, he passed away in 97 of heart failure. God rest his soul. But he did a great job. I mean, you see the powerful muscle that he put into Bane. That's what he is. He's a powerful, muscular guy. So, excuse me, I think I said it.
Oh, he played the Ultimate Solution? I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's who he was. This guy was Ultimate Solution. He was in that alliance that, and I don't know, on Nitro, they came out to attack Hulk Hogan. It was him and, what's his name, Zeus or Tiny Lister, that actor that was, they came and I don't know that. That's who that was.
Yeah, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was him.
But yeah, I gotta give this guy, if he's a wrestler, and I gotta give him credit, all the credit in the world for playing a maniacal villain like Bane, one of the most dangerous motherfuckers in the DC universe, especially since we know what happens when Batman faces Bane. We all know that Batman gets his back broken. Because there's a comic talking about that. So, yeah. But, Michael Goh, once again, as Alfred, he played one hell of a... He was a good dude in this film. Pat Hingle. I loved him in the first movie. But they made him cheesy in this one. Come on, now. Why would you do that? I loved him as Commissioner Gordon in the first film. I loved him as Commissioner Gordon. I loved him as Commissioner Gordon. Even in Batman Forever, he was kind of off. You know what I mean? His character was off. But at least in that one, it was better than this.
Oh, definitely.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But John Glover... I have to say that I give him credit for playing Dr. Jason Woodrue. In this movie as well. But I kind of wish that we could have seen the character that he was known as, the Philharmonic Man. I kind of wish that we could have seen that character in this movie come to life in this movie. But yeah, basically, I thought that this one was okay. A little bit. I thought that this movie was. It was fine. It was fine. It wasn't that great. It wasn't that bad though. But come on now, there's some stuff that I wish the y'all guys would have. I wish Joel Schumacher was not director of this movie, nor Batman Forever at all. But I can't say that this movie was bad because I don't think it was. I think that the movie could have done a little bit more better had it had a better director, better story, better other people. I think George Clooney played Bruce Wayne really good, but as far as his portrayal of Batman goes, they could have made it more better.
Oh, definitely.
They could have made it more better. But basically, you guys know already why they made this movie. Basically, it was to sell toys. Basically, it was to basically it was the studio telling them this was one big giant fucking toy commercial. That's what it was. Basically. So, yeah, I'm not happy. I love the movie. Don't get me wrong. I love Batman and Robin. Me and Dark Knight maybe be the only ones that love Batman and Robin. Because everybody seems to think that this movie was complete shit. But yeah, I see the point. I see the point of why it's complete shit. Of why people think it's complete shit. Now that I'm 31 years old now, now that I'm a little older, I am starting to see why people hated this movie so much. And god damn it, man, I just wish they could have done better with Mr. Freeze.
Oh, they could have. I agree. You could have done better. I was just reading here while we were, my partner was talking to you about all that, and originally they were going to do a sequel to that called Batman Unchained, where you're going to see the people from this movie come back, but due to the reaction, so many negative reactions that this movie got, it never happened. I mean, but think about it. Had it gone better, maybe we would have seen that, and like I said, maybe extra should have been Mr. Freeze. It could have gone better.
Yeah, they also talk about that if you guys watch the Blu-ray for this movie, they also talk about that in the special features as well, that they were going to make maybe 2 years before this, 2 years after this, they were going to make another Batman movie, like my Dark Knight was talking about. But I kind of wish, god damn it, man, if this could have been good, who knows what we could have seen. If Tim Burton stayed on as director, who knows what the fuck we could have seen. We could have seen a much more darker Batman and Robin. We could have seen a much more darker Batman Forever. Not the cheesiness that we got. But I can't blame Joel Schumacher. But then again, yeah, I can. Because he just lost his way. Like, basically, he lost his way by getting the studio involved with this. And it's just, yeah, I can't. I give it an 8 and give it an 8 out of 10, but I just kind of wish that they could have done a little bit more better with this as far as everything else goes. But yeah, that's just me. But yeah, and I think Knight would also say that too. But I don't know.
Yeah, I would. Like I said before, I mean, even I've been a lot of things, and this is one of them. Could have gone better. Now, like I said, I like it. I watch it again and again if I want to. But it just could have gone better. That's all we're saying.
Yeah.
So, again, guys, if you want to be for yourself, judge for yourself, watch this movie. And of course, if you want to own all 4 films, you can. Just FYI, go to Walmart to find the Blu-ray editions. My partner found his. I found the DVD version of all 4 films. At Price Books, so look there, look sharp. Keep an eye out if you want to get those 4 combos. And, watch those films yourself, and you be the judge. What do you think about this film? And again, just this is what we give it, our honest opinion. But let you guys know down in the comment section there, and just start getting around trying to start a war of words.
Yeah.
FYI, starting it, and that's that. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, I got another review here in a little bit. I'm going to give you guys here in a little bit for The Prodigy. What did I think of that movie? Well, you're going to find out here in a few minutes. So, yeah. So, that's going to be it for me. I am, as always, Mr. Grimreaper 512 with Dark Knight 987, and I'll see you all in the afterlife. Peace.